Okay, we're all set.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the monthly meeting of the planning board. Roll call, please, Ann.
Chairperson Swinton,
Present.
Member Files,
Present.
Member Teresi,
Present.
Member Bourgeois,
Present.
Member Carwheel,
Present.
Attorney Legnard,
Present.
Todd Ward, Building Inspector, CEO,
Present.
Maggie Alex, Building Inspector, CEO.
Present.
All present.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting held on May 16th, 2022.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have one item to come before the board this evening. It's a request from Kaylin O'Brien of JBH Properties LLC, owner of 4A Center Court, Green Island, granting authorization to Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless to apply for land use approvals for a proposed telecommunications facility. The planning board will be considering approval of site plan review and a special use permit. The property is zoned industrial. Dave.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I know you
Okay.
just have a couple minor changes since the last time you presented the project.
Yes, we've modified the plans slightly to add a more traditional staircase. If you would recall, the equipment platform has to be elevated. I think it's 12 feet to keep the equipment out of the floodplain. And we had a straight vertical ladder, which someone thought that was not a good idea. And I think everybody agrees that a set of stairs is an easier way to get up and down. And then we also put just a flat roof on the top of the equipment to provide cover. And other than that, everything is the same as the board saw it last time. I think since we last met, we received the response from county planning. And I think we also had favorable correspondence from Clough Harbor, from Joe Romano. And I think that's the quick update of where we are.
Yes, Joe did get a hold of me. He said he reviewed the changes. He thinks they're very minor. He has no issue with them. So he said he has no additional comments from the last time. So with that, I'd like to ask Maggie and Todd, do you have any questions or comments?
The only comment I have is just a reminder that this will be a permitted project. So all building permit paperwork and documentation has to be filtered through Todd's office. So when you're ready to actually construct, I do know that we've had companies, I think Verizon was out there doing some boring testing. All of that needs to run through Todd in the building department in advance of any action or anything taking place there.
Absolutely. I imagine they were out doing test borings so they could design the foundation. We typically don't do that until we're somewhat satisfied about where things are in the process. And once we get that foundation design, the tower design, and the other materials to get us towards a building permit, we'll submit all that along with the required certificates of insurance and fees. Don't forget that.
Thank you.
You got a start date on that, David?
I don't, but I do know that is something that is proposed to be built this year. So usually after municipal approvals, it takes us about 2 months to do our internal process and also tower registrations and other things related to our FCC licensing. So I've got to think sometime in September at the earliest. But I'll ask for an update on that. I'll shoot you all an email with an update when I have that information.
Good.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board?
Christian?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi,
This
Mr.
is Tom. I have a question. I'd like to address it to the representative from Verizon. On the drawings C4, it shows the monopole. And what I want to know is, this is a 120-foot monopole. Is this a single unit construction or is it assembled in place? And also, I'd like to ask, this is probably pretty much a standard pole that you use throughout the country. Has there ever been any failures due to high winds or hurricanes? I'd also like to know what the diameter of the monopole is at the bottom and the diameter at the top. And it looks like, according to the drawing, it's embedded in about 8 foot of concrete. I was wondering why there are no guy lines on it, or are the guy lines not needed? So those are my questions. If you could take them one at a time, best you can. Thank you.
Sure, certainly. Thank you, Mr. Teresi. So the monopole itself is typically shipped in lengths. It varies by design, but I've got to imagine one of 120 feet is going to come in at least 2 pieces, possibly 3. And basically, the foundation, as you described, is typically a pad foundation, and we bolt the bottom section on, and then a crane will lift the next section on it. And there's an overlap where they slide together, and I believe there might be a tensioning bolt, but basically they slide and stack on top of one another. As far as failures go, I'm sure I can go on the internet and find a picture of a failure. I do know of one, but I've also got pictures of towers that have survived Category 5 hurricanes. I think we have a very good track record at this time as far as not having tower failures. And I would think that at this height in this particular location, there's not going to be an issue. It will be designed to the most current iteration of the standard for towers as required by New York State, and is designed specifically for our climate, our wind conditions, and things of that nature. I don't have the specific dimensions because the tower hasn't been designed yet. I would expect typically the base is 24 inches wide at the bottom, give or take, and it tapers to about probably 18 inches at the top. And as far as guy wires, these towers are considered self-supporting. So monopoles and some of the self-supporting lattice towers that are much wider do not use guy wires. The towers that use guy wires are a thinner lattice type tower that are only about maybe 12 inches on its face, or maybe 16 inches on its face. And those require guy wires for stability, but a monopole of this nature does not. I think I wrote down all the questions.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Are there any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, if not, could I ask for a motion to approve the site plan and the special use permit?
I'll make the
I'll make a
motion.
motion.
Is that Mr. Teresi seconding?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then Dave, you're all set.
I appreciate, I know that everyone spent a lot of time on this. I appreciate the time and diligence, and we'll submit our materials to the code enforcement officers in due course. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. We have no other business to come before the board tonight, so could I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the
I'll make
motion
a
to
motion.
adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?